You cannot touch the power of M4. Well, have you seen the Snapdragon X Elite chip? It's even faster than the M3. I said you can't beat the M4, you idiot. Are you even listening to me? Snapdragon X Elite is so fast, it's actually going to outperform even the M4, especially with AI features. You don't even know what AI features are. I'm gonna show you what an AI feature really is, especially when we start unlocking the M5X chip. But don't even get me started on M5 Max Ultra X. You think we stopped at the X Elite? You haven't seen the X Elite Ultra Max. Your stupid chip is gonna consume too much power. No, it's gonna consume less power than even your most efficient, even less power than the A17. Oh, I know what I'm saying. Let them choose. Let them decide who's the better one. Yeah. How about you guys decide which one of us made more sense than the other? Did all of those speed tests make you want to switch? Of course not. They want iMessage, right? Dope. No, they need that raw, pure performance. Yeah, but do you have AirDrop? Wow, you went there. Wow. Do you have games? Yes! Like Sneaky Sasquatch. Oh, God. You're helpless. Alright, I got more than one comment about this, and because we're all trying to kill time before Dub-Dub, I thought I'd weigh in a little bit on my thoughts with the new Microsoft Surface products, all shipping with these new Snapdragon X Elite chips, which I have to say, I'm happy for all of you Windows fans out there. Feels like Qualcomm is actually starting to catch up a little bit, which felt inevitable, especially with this whole ARM transition clearly being objectively better for the end user, better battery life, better performance, and it took a while for Surface to get around to it, probably because Windows has to be on so many different devices. It's really hard to optimize the software for the ARM architecture when you know that much of the Windows user base is going to stick around with x86. But it took some time, it took some energy, and now, at least in these early speed tests, it's looking like the Snapdragon X Elite chip is actually coming out a little bit faster, maybe not just a little bit faster, than the M3 chip found in the MacBook Air, which was awfully convenient for them to choose. Their machines usually have active cooling systems, and the M3 MacBook Air is not really intended to be an intense powerhouse. I mean, Apple might brag about it on the website a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's a passively cooled chip, just a heatsink, nothing actively cooling it like a fan, which is why for sustained loads, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Qualcomm can create a more efficient, faster chip with a cooling system in place, but that's probably why they didn't want to compare it too much to the M3 in the MacBook Pro series. But even so, I'm willing to acknowledge that even if neck and neck we get real-world speed tests on these things and it turns out that the Snapdragon X Elite chip is actually able to outperform the M3 in regards to video export tests, 3D modeling tests, and I'm sure gaming tests are going to be fascinating. Windows inherently is just going to have way more options for gaming to choose from in the first place. But the point I really wanted to drive home here is that people are not necessarily cross-shopping these things. I think very similar to iPhone versus Android, this really all comes down to software features at the end of the day, because keep in mind, before Apple switched to the M series of chips with Apple Silicon and got that big boost in battery life and performance, there were still lots of people buying Macs with Intel processors, and the PC fanboys would never let us forget that Apple was choosing the worst CPUs, or why would they choose last year's Intel processors and not the newest ones. A lot of people were upset by the slow and weak battery life of Macs in the past, and yet people kept on buying them. There were a lot of Mac users out there, and it was not about the performance. It always came down to the ecosystem experience, the operating system, having the software, and having the design that people really appreciated. Some people definitely didn't like Windows direction to try to have a hybrid touch interface with a keyboard and mouse interface, and that may have stirred some people more towards Mac. Windows also was known, at least in my circle, for having a lot of driver corruption problems and a lot of unconsensual software updates every morning. That made it hard to work, especially for me. I used to own a PC, and I felt like I didn't leave the PC. The PC pushed me away by being so inconsistent and unreliable with apps opening and updates installing without my permission and driver corruptions making it so that I literally couldn't work. I felt like I was forced back to Mac because of the poor performance of Windows, and the unreliability of it wasn't so much that I ever had an issue with the hardware. The hardware was usually better than the Mac. It's only in just the last couple years, particularly in the laptop space that Apple has actually started to easily surpass Windows PCs in regards to performance and battery life. Now I'm thankful that those of you who like Windows for work or for gaming, or for whatever reason you prefer using Windows, now have an option to access the same kind of great benefits we've gotten from the ARM architecture in our MacBooks, just now in something made by Microsoft. And you can put up with the exact same price gouging that Apple did, like $350 keyboards, or only allowing certain chips on certain colors of machine. It's funny, Apple gets all this flack when they do that kind of crap, and then Microsoft does it and everyone goes, well, you know, I guess Apple did it first, so it's okay. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to say it's okay by any means, but it's just a very similar kind of pricing strategies. And I've seen far too many people consider this Elite chip to be considered a MacBook competitor, probably because it was directly brought up in the event itself when they announced it. But again, this all is coming back to software. I don't think these are MacBook killers, even if they perform twice as fast as the M3 or M4 chip, regardless of the cooling systems in place, because at the end of the day, people chose MacBooks because they wanted Mac OS. They wanted some software that was available on Mac OS that wasn't available on Windows, or they liked that consistency of the experience. They liked the way it seamlessly integrates with their iPhone. You got iMessage, you've got continuity camera, you've got AirDrop, you have handoff. So many things that just seamlessly merge with Mac OS and iOS. It's really, really hard to beat that. Even though, yes, a lot of similar features are available on Windows, they usually take more setting up, more proactive features, because Microsoft sadly got out of the smartphone business, even though I thought the Windows phones were pretty cool. So you have to download a bunch of Microsoft apps and sign into those on Android to try to emulate the experience that is seamless, that doesn't require more apps on the iPhone and the Mac. So I definitely wouldn't consider them MacBook killers by any means. I just see it as catching up with the rest of the industry, because it seems like in at least the Mac space, we've kind of moved on from x86. We're ready to go all in on ARM, and Microsoft is finally taking ARM a little bit more seriously than they have in the past, but also doubling down on AI features, which I'm sure Apple will too. They've got a lot of neural cores to brag about, but Microsoft seems very proud of this whole recall feature that's basically constantly taking screenshots of whatever you're doing so that you can kind of have a more real-time version of the time machine feature. It'd be really funny if all the Apple people complaining about this feature that Microsoft is showcasing because they're worried about privacy. Like, I don't want Windows watching everything I'm doing at any time. Now watch Apple do the exact same thing, and they'll all go, oh, okay, well, it's Apple, so it's private and secure. We don't know for sure if they're gonna, like, revamp Time Machine in some way like that, but it should help people stay on top of, like, where did I leave that file, or where did I make a mistake? Let's activate the Omega 13, rewind time a little bit. If you got that joke, I'm hearting your comment. But just enough to correct a crucial mistake, and then you can go about your workday, which is probably common in the workplace, where Windows is probably most often used. So there's cool features like that, and I'm happy for the silicon, but can I just say, and this is a little bit of my Apple sheep showing here, but everybody was hyping up these new Surface laptops and Surface Pro's designs. I was just not feeling it. I don't know, like the trackpad not taking up as much space as possible. I don't know, as a MacBook user, I appreciate like the massive trackpad. Also, I appreciate that the displays are curved on the inside, but the asymmetrical bezels all the way around, I don't know, not my thing. Maybe I'm the notch guy, so I just prefer my MacBook Pro having one size bezel all the way across the top and the sides. And seeing that asymmetricality just threw me off a little bit. I wanted to just push the display all the way to the top. Also, I know most of those little dots are useless. In fact, some of them are not even holes, but I like having the little speaker grills on the side of the keyboard, and that wasn't present on the Surface laptops either. Plus, I am immediately annoyed by any company that tries to keep the USB-A port around. It's a horrible port. It's symmetrical, but it's not reversible. We've wasted so much time with USB-A, so I've been all in favor of getting rid of it on as many devices as possible, as soon as possible, and yet they're still keeping it around here. I get the argument, but some people still have USB-A. Yeah, they only have USB-A because you're letting them. Just stop it. Move everything to Type-C. The EU, where are you? Back me up on this. Can we just outright ban the USB-A ports? I don't care if it costs like 2 cents less than USB-C ports in China to use. I'm sick of using USB-A, and any laptop that encourages the use of it or allows the use of it, I'm fed up with and sick of. Looking at you too, Apple. I see you putting USB-A on Mac Studios. At least those are desktops, though. That's a little bit better, but yeah, I still think I would choose a a MacBook at the end of the day, regardless if Microsoft is able to come up with an elite chip that's able to outperform M3 Max or M4 Max or whatever silicon is around, because MacBook Pro's got amazing speaker systems on board. It's got amazing microphones. Webcam is not bad either, and the continuity camera feature for a content creator is just like priceless. The simplicity of just opening up the phone and using it as a webcam and the display on your phone turns off. Super duper handy, very useful, and I'm past the point where performance gains really have that much of a net impact. My limiting factor when it comes to content production usually comes down to how fast can I upload things. When most of your videos only take a minute or two to export, then that means the most you can possibly save by switching to a laptop with a faster chip is about a minute, and that's just going to be thousands and thousands of extra dollars. And I especially, of all people, do not have any interest in switching ecosystems. There's a bunch of apps that are not going to transfer over, like Final Cut, and having to relearn video editing on a different platform, not having that in-house design software and hardware optimization that Apple provides because they make their own software editing service that allows it to export faster, and usually the video editing is more efficient, so the battery life is better. Yeah, I just don't see a lot of MacBook users out there switching to the Surface products simply because of a chip upgrade, because like I said, in the old days, they were faster anyway, and that didn't sway that many people in the first place. But am I wrong? Are any of you guys out there interested now in switching to a Surface product from the Mac? Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.